Now I'm going to give away the secret to Lionel Sanders' training. Now, the one thing that we can definitely learn from Lionel Sanders' training leading into Kona this year, he got to Kona and raced the race of his life because he was... Good afternoon, Trainiacs. How's this for a beautiful backdrop having construction of Triathlon Taren new HQ? So there will be no workout montage today because the GoPro is still down. I will tell you that what I did right there was a 2-hour bike, mostly aerobic. I had 2 5-minute sections around race pace, and then heel was actually feeling good. So I went and did the full 20-minute brick workout. Now, if you're new here, you may be thinking, that ain't much of a workout, Taren. Or if you're a really, really new triathlete, you could be thinking, damn, that's a big workout, Taren. Give you some context, we're heading into Ironman Texas 70.3 in 8 days. So, taper workout. Now, I would like to talk about Lionel Sanders and his performance. Did I put my knee down in poo? No, I'm good. And his performance in Ironman Kona was incredible. I mean, sure, he didn't win, but this is the first year that the guy has actually focused on the full Ironman distance and specifically in Kona. And he really only decided to do it back in, I want to say it was Oceanside, so like May, June. And he trained like probably nobody else in the history of triathlon. And he's a bad motherfucker in the way that he did it. Now I'm going to give away the secret to Lionel Sanders' training. It's almost like he's broken up here. He does pretty much all of his training solo in his basement. Not outdoors, not with a training group, not with a coach. It is completely self-motivated. So I don't think that it's replicable for age groupers, and most pro triathletes, I don't think that they're wired for that. I don't think humans are wired to do what Lionel is doing, but I think that there are definitely some lessons that we can all take of what he does that we can improve upon, and what he does that we should look at and be like, whoa, that dude's serious. Here they are. I stepped in poo, that's the issue. I found it. Hey Siri, set an alarm for me in 24 minutes. Getting the last little bit of heat training in before Austin. So the first thing that we can talk about with Lionel Sanders, say swimming, is that the things we can learn from him are that he started out as a self-proclaimed brutal swimmer. He came from a running background, didn't have a swimming background, and like a lot of us, he really struggled swimming. But when you're a pro triathlete, that doesn't cut it. So what he ended up doing that we can all learn from, as far as swimming goes, that really improved it, is he swam a ton, like huge volume, tons of frequency. I think he was swimming 6-7 days a week, sometimes 2 a days. Now, what I've found is that I tend to swim 3 days a week. When I add a 4th day a week, I find that I get quite a bit faster because I don't have that 2 days off where I lose the feel for the water. So if I'm swimming Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, there is never a time that I've got more than 1 day off. Ooh, Kim nailed the homemade acai bowl, duplicating the acai bowls in Kona. Comments below if you want the recipe and we can upload it online. Now that said, I never found that from an age group standpoint, the bang for buck in time spent in the water is really a good investment of time. As age group triathletes, we're all time crunched. So what I found is that if I improved my swim immensely in a half Ironman, I might go from like a 33-minute swim down to a 31 or a 32. But if I spent that day instead on the bike, I could chop off 10 to 15 minutes. So as the age group triathletes, we gotta kind of say, you know, where we're gonna give a little bit. It's not realistic for us to be swimming 6 and 7 days a week like a pro triathlete like Lionel Sanders. Now, talking about Lionel's work ethic as far as swimming goes, he built himself an endless pool, basically a treadmill pool in his basement. And you want to talk about the most mind-numbing thing that you could possibly do as a triathlete? I think that that's it. And if you look at the videos that Lionel's done, he talks about that endless pool being so fulfilling because he's able to look at a mirror he's got on the bottom and a mirror that he's got out front, and he can see his form. So I think that is part of Lionel Sanders' work. Heat's getting to me now. Lionel Sanders' work ethic that we can't duplicate, because he is just as motivated by just the sheer fact that he is training and he's seeing himself train and seeing imperfections, and he gets basically a rise out of seeing those imperfections because he knows then he can fix those imperfections. I don't think that that's something that us age groupers can duplicate, let alone a lot of pros. I think that's a Lionel thing, and more power to him for being able to do that. Now, the next and probably most important thing that we can learn from Lionel Sanders is with regards to his bike training. So Lionel Sanders, he comes from a running background. However, he's probably one of the most badass cyclists in triathlon. Now, in addition to that, Lionel also does almost all of his training on either rollers or a bike trainer. Now, the couple of things that we can learn from that are A, that time in the saddle results in faster bike times. It is the nicest thing about biking that you don't get as a benefit from swimming or running, that it's almost a straight correlation of time in the saddle makes you a faster cyclist. Now, getting faster on steroids, and actually I shouldn't have used that word. A lot of triathletes have been doing as much training as they can on a bike trainer indoors. What science is finding, and what these triathletes are finding, is that the time spent indoors on a bike trainer can be more effective than time spent outside, because you're not dodging cars, you're not stopping for stoplights, you're not packing all kinds of stuff in the back of your jersey to make sure you're going to be okay when you're out in the middle of nowhere. And you can hit the exact power and intensity numbers that you want to hit all of the time. So if I'm doing, say, a 20-minute interval, I don't have to wait until I'm out of town. I can do a warm-up and then immediately get into the 20 minutes, and then I don't have to stop for a car or a flat tire or the wind driving me up from, the exact power that I want, up by 10%, down by 10%. I can hit it bang on. And why I'm so excited about getting this new Wahoo kicker as a smart trainer is, as I start doing more races abroad, I can take those bike courses, load them into the trainer, and once I have the Wahoo kicker climb on the front of my bike, I can do the intensity, the grade, the difficulty. I can do basically the exact course that I'm going to be racing on, and it's going to be as specific as possible. I'm not going to be trying to simulate it. Now, the one thing that I would say as a caveat to this style of Lionel Sanders completely indoor training is that, in my opinion, you do need to spend some time outside getting those stabilizer muscles on the side and in the shoulders that you can only build by getting your nose out in the wind and having those side-to-side resistance forces placed on you that you don't necessarily get entirely on a bike trainer. You get them a little bit on rollers, but still it's not quite there. Lionel Sanders is a freak of nature, so he can get away with it. Now finally, let's talk about Lionel Sanders running while draped in my running shoes. Now, for the longest time, Sanders was doing all of his running indoors just like he was on the bike. And then what he came out with saying was that when he got into races and he started running outdoors, he was lacking a lot of that side-to-side movement in the glute med and the lower back and the side back, basically all those stabilizer muscles that you exercise when you're out in road and not on the treadmill. The treadmill is so linear that your body basically doesn't develop all of those stabilizer muscles on the side and back that it needs to stay strong for the entire duration of a race. And this is more important the longer the race gets. So while you might like doing a lot of work on the treadmill, I don't know who the sickies are that like that. Now, the one thing that we can definitely learn from Lionel Sanders' training leading into Kona this year is that he still includes a lot of speed work. The speed work keeps your top end, and you don't ever want to lose that top end of speed. In Lionel Sanders' training day that he released in the summer, he did, I think it was 4 times 5 kilometers, and he did them at like 15 to 16 minute pace. Like, he was burning it. It's not just all long and steady. If you do nothing but long and steady running, you're going to get good at long and steady running, but you're not going to have that depth of running fitness at higher end speeds. And that's important because that's what makes you strong. That's what makes you have the depth of, say, running speed that you need to be able to speed up and slow down and not have it take a lot out of your tank. So speed is important, just as getting outside is important. Don't just go slogging out mile after mile after mile on the treadmill. Now, as I chill out for my recovery, the final thing that we can learn from Lionel Sanders' prep in this year's Kona that he didn't do in last year's Kona that he paid for is that he didn't take enough rest. Rest is when we actually get faster. Last year, Lionel was intimidated by the distance, and he said that stepping up to that full Ironman distance, he thought that he had to do, I think it was like 13 days that lasted 8 or 9 hours worth of training. And when he got to Kona, he was actually so tired that his slowest day that was like a race simulation was actually the race. He was so cooked that he didn't have the stuff to actually go and race Kona. This year, he said that he never even had a 7.5 hour day, I think it was. And basically, as soon as he started feeling fatigue, he would take 4 days of rest, with the first 2 of those 4 days being completely off. And when he got to Kona, he said that he really didn't do enough work to even justify a taper. That's how like undertrained he felt. And magically, he got to Kona and raced the race of his life because he was fresh enough. So rest, recovery, don't be intimidated by your first race at a longer distance, by an A race, an important race. Make sure that you're always taking enough time to recover. That's it. All right.
You had some... Oh, sorry. You said that you're done. You had some seeds in your teeth.
I have seeds in my teeth?